All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to another round of coffee and questions. What's today's topic? Let's talk about PVC pipe cutters. We'll talk about the ones you can get from out at Harbor Freight, and I'll give you an explanation on some others you might want to consider and a couple of tips or on their use, let's say. Anyway, the one from out at Harbor Freight, the Pittsburgh brand, which I have up here, finger release ratcheting PVC pipe cutter, $7.99. But is it any good? Now, I read through comments on the forums, and like I tell you, I belong to a club, and I took mine out there, and I'll show you those in a minute. And we talked about them. Everybody out there that had bought a pair, there was probably 4 people, maybe 5. They all either took them back or basically criticized them. They said, look, they would work on smaller pieces of PVC, no matter what this says, up to 1 5/8 or whatever. They said there's no way it cuts very effectively on larger pipe. You either don't get a nice straight cut, or it starts to bend, and if you put too much pressure, you can actually break the tool. And the blade itself will chip real easily or dulls quickly, however you want to look at it. But even with the chips in it, it tells you it's made out of probably an inferior kind of metal. And basically, it just didn't seem to be a good tool. So what are some other considerations? Okay, now I was at a garage sale quite a while back. Now I have a pair of PVC cutters at home, and they're nothing fancy. They're actually made by a company called Orbit, and I'll leave you the link below. These are made overseas in Taiwan, and these I've abused the heck out of, but I keep the blade on here sharp, and I'll explain to you what I do about that. But they still ratchet down well, they still cut real well, but like I said, I've really abused these. Now, when they stiffen up, of course, you can use WD-40, PV Blaster, whatever, to loosen these up. But these have actually stood up a lot better than I thought for a cheap brand of PVC cutters. Okay, now, like I said, I was at a garage sale a while back. Guy had some in a box he was getting rid of, and I knew that mine are getting old, and, even though I can keep sharpening them and using them, he wanted something like $5. He said, it doesn't matter, they're all messed up, and they were in a box, they were real dirty and stuff. So I gave him the $5 because I thought, give me something to play around with and do. So I brought them home. I cleaned them up real well. Some of them, in order to sharpen them, the best way to do it is you take them apart and you use a sharpening stone like this. Now this sharpening stone I've had for a long time. And so on one side it's either 400 or 600 grit. I wrote it down, and on the other side it's much more coarse. Now with these stones, somebody said, well, don't you soak them? Yeah, you soak them for maybe 15-20 minutes in water. That's what I do. And I made this little stand with screws, and I put it in here, and you can sharpen them. Now if you take the blade out of these, and you can do that, there are screws all along here, and this blade will come out, and you can turn it around, and you can, depending on how bad the blade is, this one's not bad, so I would use probably 400 grit. About, let's say, a 30-degree angle, 1, 2, I flip it over, 1, 2, and I do equal amounts on both sides, and then I keep feeling it until it's real sharp again. And then I've got some old PVC laying around, some old Schedule 40, I cut it, cuts nice, clean, and smooth, and I'm good to go. Now, that's the right way to do it, to take it apart and clean the blade, in an individual way. Do I always do that? No. There's, you can take the sharpening stone and attempt to sharpen it, in the tool, but it's kind of a pain and difficult. Now, what I have, because I have lathe turning tools for my wood projects, I have these diamond files. Okay, one's coarse, one's fine, and one's extra fine. Now the blue's coarse, the red's fine, and then the green one, it's extra fine. And I'll leave you links on all this stuff. So sometimes if it's not bad and it's not like chipped, the blade and dented, I'll turn around and I'll use the coarse one, and I open these way up, and I can actually sharpen them, you know, within the tool. Put it in a vise if you want to, however you want to do it, and you can do this fairly quickly, and you can put an edge back on there real easily if it's not too bad. If it's bad, I would say take it off, do it the right way, use the sharpening stone. Okay, all right, getting back to the Cutterss. So that's the Taiwanese brand, like I said, link below. Okay, what are the other ones that he had? Well, he had a pair of Husky. These are Husky. You can get these out at Home Depot. Now this one doesn't retract or anything, and the spring mechanism I think that was in here is broke. It probably is gone. But these things still are incredibly sharp. And you know, just by using my fingers, I can punch down on it, I can wrench it around, and it'll cut smoothly, squarely, right through pipe. So this Husky brand is a good brand. Now, I did come across in that mix, here's Cobalt. Now this one, the edge is a little chippy. So I'll have to clean that up. But this one has the ratcheting. This is a good pair. The steel is good. I've used this one a lot, and I would recommend it. But also along with that, there's another Cobalt one. And this one too works great, and it's got the ratcheting. Both of these are Cobalt. Like I said, I'll leave you links. Okay, the best one probably is the Lennox. All right, that's these right here. And again, I'll leave you the link below. Now, you kind of get what you pay for when it comes to some of this stuff, and it's $8. Yeah, it's cheap if you've got like just a couple of projects and you're not worried if you mess it up. I mean, go ahead and go with the Pittsburgh. If you have piping that is smaller, like let's say, you know, in diameter, and it's not don't use it on Schedule 40. That's all I'm trying to say. Smaller pipe, you'll probably get away with it okay for using it there. I needed a pair of better cutters because, like, for my sprinklers and everything that I'm doing, like around the yard or anything I'm doing as side work or whatever, I need a good pair. So this is what I do on these. I keep them oiled, of course. That's a no-brainer. The thing about the blade sharpening is some people, like the guy that I got this box of them from for $5, they were dull. He figured once they're dull, they're just junk, they're scrapping. He was going to either throw them away, but he went ahead and sold them to me, like a bunch of these for $5. And I just spent the time. I came home, I cleaned them up. On the one, I took the blade all the way out. I did it the right way. On the other ones, I didn't. I used the diamond files. You know, I was able to secure it in a vise and just sit there, like I said, about a 30-degree angle and work on the blade. And you can actually get them to cut paper. You could make it that sharp. You know, that's your choice. But you got to keep them sharpened. I mean, that's the key, you know, whatever method you choose. Now, there's plenty of videos out there on YouTube that'll show you how to sharpen shears and cutter blades and all this other stuff. And I noticed a lot of people do them differently. I've seen some people use oil and stone, water, like I was telling you in the stone, the diamond files only. They say the others aren't as effective. And there's all these different ways of doing it, but it's not hard to learn how to resharpen these. So I would encourage you to do that. But these are all good. So if I had to rank them, the Lennox was probably number 1. I tell you, the Cobalt's probably number 2, then the Husky, and then this probably somewhere, you know, these from Taiwan, this Orbit. These are probably right around between the Cobalt and the Husky, somewhere in there. They've held up real well. They're all metal. There's no plastic in this at all, and the steel is held up well, and it's not hard to sharpen. My kind of a quick review on all this stuff, you know, so I hope you folks enjoy them. I hope you get something out of them or learn something from them. I leave you the links below. The links help me when you click on them. Like I told you before, I take care of about 4 or 5 feral cats. They live here with me. So what little I make, I get food, water, stuff like that for them. But if you know of something better in terms of these cutters, I don't own them all, you can drop it in the comment below. If you know a simpler way to sharpen them than what I'm telling you, yeah, you can leave me a comment. Otherwise, I'll see you folks on the next video, and I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.